Alright, I've done about 12 hours work with the David Brown and it's all running pretty well. No problems, no leaks. I've changed the power steering oil filter. You can see it was in a pretty bad state. That wouldn't have been filtering much at all because it's blowing apart. Looks like it's been in there for possibly since new, so I've got a new filter in there, so that'll filter out all the particles that are floating around in the hydraulic system for the steering. And I have flushed out the radiator, new coolant. One problem with the blade, you can see how sloppy that is. And it's just slopping around there, so maybe put some bushings in the holes there to tighten everything up. And also see this linkage here going back to the frame, that stops it swaying around too much. I'll put one on the other side as well. That doesn't have one there, so that'll just give it a bit more strength. This adjustment on the arm was all seized up, so I've managed to get that going again. I had to hit this part here with a hammer and give it plenty of penetrant. Took a lot of force to loosen it up. It was fully rusted in, so I can wind it up and down on the side now. So that makes it a bit easier for fine adjustments. When I'm using the blade, sometimes the spring will pop off. It's just not on there very well, so what I'll do is put it back on and weld a washer or something over there just to hold it in. Because when it lets go, the blade just flicks around and goes the opposite way to where you want it. So if I weld something to hold that spring there, it should stay in place. Apart from that, it's a really good back blade. All these locking mechanisms were all seized up, so I just used some of the sump oil and painted it on all the moving parts, and it's nice and smooth now, just like new. If you're wondering what all the oil is on the back end there, it's not leaking. I just used sump oil, painted on all the rust just to stop it getting any worse. It's a good cheap rust inhibitor. Right, I've made some bushings out of a piece of steel pipe, 1-inch pipe, so I'll put those in now. Alright, that's a lot better. Hardly any play in there now, so now I'll make a bracket for this side to brace it back to the main frame. I found some steel offcuts that will do the job quite nicely, so that'll go in there. It's just a piece of angle iron and a 3/4 inch pin. That'll go in there, and I'll weld that on there somewhere and then put the linkage between those two pins. So I just got a bit of angle iron and put it between those two pins, put a couple of bolts through to hold it in place. I'll start it up and make sure it's all nice and free and not binding up. like this a lot better before it was swinging over and hitting the tyre, so you can see how much of a difference that has made. So now that that's all tightened up, I'll go and do the rest of the driveway. It's quite handy being able to tilt that blade 3 ways, because I can swing it right round, so I can get in the edge here. It goes further in than the wheel, so all the branches and things don't get in my face, and I can tilt it that way, and it drags it all out on the way through. And you can see all these ruts here where the water's been following that rut down and then going down the middle of the track. If I can angle it into the bank a bit, all that water should just follow the bank down. looks a lot better. Got a nice shape on the track now. It's leaning in towards the bank there so the rainwater can get away. Before it was just following the track down and rutting it out, but now it's pretty good. So it took me about 35 hours work all up. David Brown's still going strong, so it's paid for itself many times over. And yeah, good result. I've taken away all the vegetation that was growing on the sides as well, so a wee bit less of a fire risk. It's going to be a hot summer here, I think, so good to get rid of all that grass, dry grass and gorse on the side. Now we just have to do a bit of trimming around the edges and it'll be like a main highway. So anyway, thanks for watching, we'll see you next time.